Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Work in Real Life. Aisha, if you want to get started, and then I'll be happy to introduce everyone.
Yes, welcome. We are here for another Work in Real Life webinar. You will hear my computer going off because that is why it's called Work in Real Life, because we are still working. I want to welcome everybody. First, I want to start off by introducing myself. I'm Tanisha Smith, and I'm the manager at Riverside Center for Innovation. We are a small business incubator as well as a hub for the Diversity Business Resource Center in Kiva, Pittsburgh. I'm not going to go too far into that, but if you want more information on that, you can log on to our website, riversidecenterforinnovation.com, and also become a member and get up to date with everything that we're going on. We just started our new series, our most popular series, which is BizFit. So if you want more information on that, you can become a member at dvrcpittsburgh.org. So I'm not going to take too much time into that. We want to thank our sponsors, Comcast. We want to thank our special guest speakers, Tracy and Max, which Siobhan will get more into depth in a minute. And we want to thank you all for once again watching our webinar. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to Siobhan, and she is going to introduce our guests.
Thanks, Tanisha. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And I want to say that this webinar series has been amazing. The different people that we have in our region, the information that we've been able to provide, everything, you can go and replay them on Facebook Live if you're interested. Also, this partnership that Riverside Center for Innovation and CoLab 18 we have together is just amazing. So I'm super excited for our next series, which will start in May. But let me introduce myself. So I want to say my name is Siobhan Hall. I am the Director of Operations for CoLab 18, and we are a community resource center located on the north side of Pittsburgh in the old Allegheny Center Mall, which is now Nova Place. Some people are familiar with that, but it is a free place that you can come and use the space in there. You can use the laptops and tablets. We have conference phones. You can Skype. You can work on your business, something for your community. You can get some educational classes as well as entrepreneurship classes and workshops. We are just a resource for you, and if we are unable to provide you what you're looking for, we may be able to connect you to someone or an organization who may be able to help you. I do want to apologize. I feel like I'm talking differently because I did go to the dentist this morning. So I do apologize for that, but just bear with me. Oh, this dentist life is real. Keep your teeth together, people. Look.
You're fine. You sound like normal Siobhan to me.
Good. But I am super excited for today. We have Miss Tracy Grace and Mr. Maximilian Dennison, and I'm going to just do a brief introduction of the two of them, and then I'm gonna pass it on to them, and they can talk a little bit more about themselves if they would like, and also give out some contact information if they would like to, and I'll put it in the chat for you guys. So Miss Tracy Grace is a woman of grit. So before breaking into tech by founding IBEX IT Business Expert, Tracy led successful sales teams at companies like Learning Tree and FedEx, and obtained her BA and her MBA from the University of Pittsburgh. She also developed software programs like Certifiably Diverse to help clients like the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, UPMC, boost their supplier diversity. I used to do supplier diversity, which I really liked. I'll tell you more about that later. But at IBEX, she helps organizations like NASA, CDC, and Cox Communications implement and train workers on cutting-edge technologies. A minority woman founder, Grace realized IBEX's value wasn't just in tech training, but also in connecting companies with underrepresented groups. Although her professional expertise lies in IT governance and best practices, she's a uniquely powerful authority on topics like diversity, networking, and leadership. This year, IBEX improved their ranking on the INC 5000 list of fastest growing private companies to number 802 nationally, which is amazing. Number 31 in Georgia and number 38 in Atlanta, which That's amazing. When I read that out, your whole bio is amazing to me. It really is. I might have to contact you and just pick your brain a little bit more on that. But I do want to welcome Miss Tracy Grace. Thank you so much for being here. And then we have Mr. Maximilian Dennison. We call you Max. And he has a bachelor's in political science and a minor in history. And I may have you speak to my daughter about that political science major. It's good to have connects, guys. It's good. He has a master's degree in education, which he is a wonderful educator. You really are. I'm trying to get him to be a mentor to my son. He is the founder of Beta Builders, a coding program for the students of the city of Pittsburgh. And his current position is the digital inclusion coordinator for the city of Pittsburgh. My initiative is Rec to Tech. That's your initiative, Rec to Tech. Gotcha. So thank you both, Tracy and Max. And I will turn it over to you guys if you want to give a little bit more information.
Thank you so much, Siobhan. I definitely appreciate the opportunity to speak today. And it was so nice to meet everyone also. So I'll just give a little bit about my background and what we do as a company. So I'm originally from New Jersey, but I have a lot of family in Pittsburgh. We're in Penn Hills. We're just all over the city. And so when I went to college, I knew I wanted to be near family. So I ended up going to Pitt, really enjoyed my time there, and then I ended up working for the university for a few years after that, but then realized in order to can you hear me okay? In order to really get a corporate career, I wanted to go to a more metropolitan area, so I ended up moving to Atlanta. So I've been in the Atlanta area for about 25 years, but have always wanted to work back in the Pittsburgh area. And so I have a lot of connections. I'm on an alumni board at the university, and also engaged with Riverside and have a remote location there. And we were able to get a contract with the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center to design a software development system to help with their supplier diversity. So we still are very engaged in Pittsburgh. We are a part of we're certified as a minority-owned small business through the EMSDC. So I work a lot with Tracina Cash over there and still maintain all of my contacts in Pittsburgh. So it's always my pleasure to be able to provide any information possible. So if I could just give a couple of points. So I know we're going to be focusing on cybersecurity, but as an entrepreneur, I found that IT was a phenomenal way to be able to expand our company. So a lot of the work that we currently do is within the training industry, but it's training of IT. So getting into that, we realized that cybersecurity is a really it's an industry that does not have enough employees to cover really the number of jobs and opportunities that companies need. So unfortunately, the attacks are numerous, and there are so many different avenues within cybersecurity. So hopefully we can talk today about how to protect yourself, but also the opportunities that are out there for people who may want to explore cybersecurity as a way to maybe adjust what they're doing and utilize their experience in another industry that's really growing. So I'll turn it over to Max.
Hey, how you guys doing? Again, I'm the digital inclusion coordinator for the city of Pittsburgh. I'm Max Dennison. And yeah, so my job is pretty much twofold, and it actually speaks to the latter part of what Tracy was saying. So there, being in the computer and the tech industry, there are a million jobs going unfilled. So that's kind of why we created Beta Builders, because what we're finding is that a lot of the young people, it's not that they don't want to be in IT or cybersecurity or code or program. It's just lack of exposure. So many of the young students that we work with, the first time they see computer science, the first time they deal with languages like Python or JavaScript is when they apply for a class in their freshman year of college, which at that time it can be very overwhelming and very difficult at that point in time to pivot from just the basic learning that you've had for your whole high school and middle school career. So just to give you a brief of what I do, So my day-to-day is the digital inclusion coordinator for the city of Pittsburgh. We have 10 recreation centers. The mayor wanted to create spaces within inside the rec centers. So we have the recreation centers, and usually students go there to play basketball. They come there after school. They do TikToks. They play around. And the mayor came up with the idea of an initiative called Rec to Tech, which I run, which is let's turn the rec centers into tech spaces. Let's take pieces of each one of the recreation centers that we have and create tech hubs where kids can then come and get STEM learning. So at the city, we may have on average over a year 600 different students at all of the different locations that frequent the spaces, and we just want to give them another option. So everybody's not playing basketball, everybody's not lifting weights, so it's like, hey, if you're not doing anything, how about you come try this coding camp out, learn to build a website, learn to build an application. So that's my day job. And then on the weekends and out of school time, we founded a program called Beta Builders. And prior to me coming to the city, I've always been in education. My background is in education. I've always wanted to attack the education gap, which I think directly correlates with the wealth gap in this country. So I've always been in education. But when I got into tech, I seen the trajectory and the sustainability of people who were in tech. So I've seen people go to programming boot camps who were making, I literally know a guy that was in a boot camp who was a bartender. He made 30 grand, learned how to code, and he's like making like 80 grand. And it was so quick. It wasn't a 4-year degree. He didn't have to go get a master's, and he's not $150,000 in debt. So that to me was like, hey, if you're a woman, black or brown, this is where we need to be pivoting ourselves. And literally, Beta Builders was created for an after-school program. I didn't even think people were going to come. And I just pretty much asked the principal, hey, can I do this? And she was like, yeah, go ahead, as long as you don't need any money. And I was like, all we need is computers. And we've been rolling ever since. So those are just twofold. But when people ask me what do I do, it's just to keep it short, I say I want to normalize tech in our community. Simple and easy. I want to make the same way we talk about athletics, the same way we talk about LeBron James and everything else that we talk about. I want our students coming home and talking about tech, and talking about what apps they build or what apps they're working on or what they want to create. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm tech 24 hours a day, usually young people. But if I can point you in the right direction, a class, a Coursera course that I've taken, I'll do that as well. But yeah, that's my goal.
Thank you. Are you self-taught with the coding?
No, so a little bit of self-taught, but I had to go back to school. I had to, it was a whiteboarding session. My best friend, I'm not even gonna say her name, she'll be embarrassed, but we're having a whiteboarding session planning for the future, and I was very frustrated where I was at that moment. She was like, well, what would you do if you could do anything? And I was like, I would run a software company. That's where all the money's at. So she was like, you need to go to school. So we always you have to, at the end of our whiteboarding sessions, you have to write down what steps are you going to do to go to that. And I literally picked up the phone the next day and I went back to CCAC and started taking courses and just kept working, joined boot camps. So that's why I say some of it is self-learned, but it's one of those things where it's kind of like once you have some formal learning and you learn how to learn in a sense, once you understand a few languages, then you can go off into other directions and kind of do your own. So I would take courses and then I would pay for courses or go to boot camps or go to meetups and learn more. So it's a little bit of both.
That's amazing though.
I've seen you in action, of course.
Yeah.
I want to thank y'all again for both being here, and we want to kind of jump in to the topics that we presented to you all. So I want to say with the world moving into the digital space, more into we were always there, but more into the digital space, and at some point it was digital only, and then the emerging of numerous entrepreneurs, online businesses, etc. I know that your businesses have always been based in the digital world, but with that being said, what are the basic best practices to use when protecting yourself or somebody who is not involved in the tech industry on a daily basis?
Great question. Yep.
Tracy, you want to go first? You probably have more.
Well, it's crazy how many vulnerabilities there are and how many data breaches that we're all experiencing right now. So as a company, we work a lot with the federal government, and we actually have a secret security clearance. So security is something that we do on an ongoing basis, just physical building security, but then also IT is a part of that. This past year, more so than ever, we have had so many people trying to attack us from everywhere. So, and part of what we have to do with our secret security clearance is have an annual audit from the government to make sure we're staying safe. So because of that, we are really in tune to it. But the craziest thing now is not only are we seeing emails coming through that are pretending that they're me and sending it to our employees saying, hey, go buy 10 gift cards for me and let me know once you got it.
That's phishing, right?
Yeah, it's really nuts that they are able to do that, and then they will block the email that it's coming from and put your name there, so you don't really know where it's coming from. But then also they are attacking phone numbers, so text messages. So the most recent that we've seen, and it's been happening probably over the last 3 months, is they get your personal cell phone number and they text you as though they are part of your organization. And they will have a link in the text, tell you to click on it, and they'll say things like, hey, I need to change my direct deposit information. Can you please help me with this? And so they are very creative in how they do that now in the business world, as well as in the personal world. So our suggestion is so from a financial perspective, try not to use a debit card, right? So everyone is in the habit of, you go to the grocery store, you may go put a debit card in, put your PIN in, you pay for your groceries. If you can help not using a debit card, don't utilize that, because no matter where you go with the debit card, there are people, and every time I go to DC, my credit card gets stolen because they're so savvy up in DC. They can actually, from a remote location, get all of the information that you're putting in and get your credit card number. The only way to really protect yourself is to utilize a credit card, because you can then contact the credit card, cancel anything, and you're not liable for it. But once it's out of your bank account, it's out. So the number one thing from a financial perspective is stop using the debit card if you can help it. If you don't have a credit card, use cash. So that is something that we need to spread to all of our family members, because that's one of the single points of failure financially. Then the other thing is passwords, and it may sound like it's very simple that passwords should not be written down and posted to all of your information around your desk, because you may be working remotely and post a password over near your computer. Well, guess what? You may have your teenage son or daughter's friends coming over to your house when you're not there. They all of a sudden walk past your computer, and there's your bank account information, password right there. And you just don't know who is who sometimes. And working remotely, you don't know who's coming in and out. So, and I'm the same way. I have a son who's in college. He's there. Sometimes we're not home. He'll bring his friends over, and I tell him, look, don't bring anyone into my office, because my whole life is there, right? We have a secret security clearance. We got to act a little better about all of that, but you don't know who has access to that. Then also change your passwords. So you hear about the data breaches. A lot of people do not change their passwords if the system that you're working in does not make it mandatory. How many people have had the same Facebook password for 5 years? Probably. I know Tanisha's like, not me. But change your password periodically. You don't have to change it once a month, but at least every 3 to 6 months, if the system's not making it mandatory, change it, and don't have the same password on everything. Because if you have the same password on your bank account that you have on your YouTube account, and YouTube gets hacked, they also have your password for every single thing else that you have. So those are definitely 3 initial that I think that everyone should really implement. From a company and an enterprise perspective, we send out emails on a monthly basis. So if you do have a company and you have employees you work with, there should be somebody who's in charge of cybersecurity. Even if you're not cybersecurity savvy, there should be somebody that sends out a tip on a monthly basis that gets everyone thinking about cybersecurity. And there should also be annual training on cybersecurity. The end user training, they say, is the most effective way of thwarting any type of attacks on your organization. So typically, if people don't know, what can you do about it? So if you do an annual training that teaches you about how people try to infiltrate, and then when you notice within your company that an email is sent out, usually it's not just being sent out to one person, but typically it's sent out to multiple. So you need to then take that email of, I call them the adversaries trying to infiltrate, to make everyone in your company aware of what this email looks like. And that way, when they see it, they won't click on the link. So it's an ongoing educational process. We do it monthly, and anytime we have a potential attack, we send out an email to our entire organization. We have approximately 100 employees across the country. So we're having to make sure, whether it's a contractor working at a government agency, or it's someone at our home office, wherever the attack is coming from, we're making everyone aware, and we're telling them, we will never ask you to go buy gift cards on behalf of somebody else in the company. But I've had a person actually go to the store before it clicked in their brain, Tracy would never ask me to, and they called from there. Are you sure you want, me to go buy the gift cards? I'm like, really? You were going to buy the gift cards? Come on now. So anyway, those are some initial tips. I'll turn it over to Max, and then I might have some more for you.
Thank you.
No, you pretty much covered the ones that I did, that I work on, to say specifically the password. So I have a friend, me being a software developer, I have a friend who's actually a hacker. That's what she calls herself. She's a hacker. She's actually a female hacker, and she's always telling me, change your passwords. A lot of the things that you actually brought up. The only other thing I would have added to that is just be careful. She's always reminding me of, we live in a social media world, of how much information you volunteer via social media. So be very careful. I know everybody wants to let everybody know they're on a trip, and they're on the beach, and they're just living their best life, and that's great. But she's like a huge fan. She's like, Max, if you go on vacation, wait till you come home to post pictures. Don't let people know you're going to be out of town on these dates. Don't post addresses. She's like, people who are hackers can use any little piece of information and really log into your life. So just adding on to a lot of what Tracy was saying, those are pretty much, if you're changing your passwords and you're paying attention to that stuff and not giving your information out, you should be good. But just be careful how much information via social media that you volunteer to people who may not have your best interests. That's the only thing I would add.
I agree with you both. Go ahead, Tracy. Sorry.
And a couple more things. So public Wi-Fi. So if you're at the airport and you need to get a Wi-Fi connection, use your cell phone to tether. So if you're not familiar with what that means, so your cell phone can create a hotspot for your laptop. Don't go on public Wi-Fi, because public Wi-Fi, people can tap into that Wi-Fi and get any information that you have off of your laptop. So if you're not familiar with how to tether to get an internet connection from your cell phone, Google it. And it's pretty simple. You just have to put in a code, and then whenever you're in a public place, use your own personal hotspot.
Yes.
Also, Sightline. So because we have a security clearance, on my laptop, I actually have a cover, and I ordered it from Amazon, and it is where you can't see unless you're right in front. So it's, I forget what you call it. Privacy screen. Yeah, so I have it on my laptop, but I also have it on my cell phone, right? So because, oh, you can't see, I forgot, I got this fake background. But I have privacy screen on my cell phone, and I have a privacy screen on my laptop because I travel a lot. So when I'm in the airport, I don't want people to see what I'm working on. I've been in an airplane before where I looked over and I saw all this guy's information about all the financials he was working on for his company. So it's the same thing. You know, if you want to protect it, you kind of have to protect it. And then sensitive data and information. So PII, public, personally identifiable information. If you're working in a company and you are, say, an HR, or you are having to email someone's information that has their date of birth or their social security number, it should always, always, always be encrypted. And so there are ways you can encrypt through, I believe, Adobe and some other very common applications that we all use. But within, even within personal, so if you're sending your information to your Aunt Judy, who's going to give you or set you up on a flight, don't send your personally identifiable information on unless it's encrypted. Call her, have her write down whatever information, your date of birth or information, because once it's emailed or text, anyone can get it. So most people don't realize that PII is the most direct way to be able to get to your to your entire life, and then they can figure out the rest, piece it together, and then really ruin all your credit and everything else. So those are my most helpful tips and things you want to avoid to keep yourself safe.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with the privacy screen. Sorry, but
No.
Yeah, I have a friend that has one on his phone. We always make fun of him for other reasons, but now I see the importance of it. I was like, instead of just flipping your phone over, you just block everything else. Okay.
I used to have one, and then I was like, do I really need this? But I guess I get, like you said, I guess I do with everything that we're doing nowadays. But I do like that you mentioned that we should do annual training. And we had mentioned this before. I used to work for a company where every year we had to do annual training on phishing and so forth. Because the emails, like you said, they look so familiar. And you're used to just going to your email, checking your email, and, oh, you know what, I got an email from Amber or Tanisha. And it may not say go to the store and buy these gift cards. I remember getting one that said, hey, check this invoice for me and make sure that it's correct. I'm like, what are you invoice? Like they're very creative in trying to get you to click on things, which will then get them into your system. So you just got to be very careful, very, very careful. Take your time with that. I am horrible about changing my passwords. I need to do that. I am horrible. I'm horrible.
You gotta do it.
I know. But again, a company that I worked for, every month we would have to change our passwords, and you all be like, "Oh my gosh, again? We just changed them again." But I mean, I do see the importance of it. It really is important. I personally have been hacked before, and it is a very scary feeling to know that somebody was able to get your information and change your information and see things that you don't want them to see. Like, what else are you doing? So I definitely am on top of, I truly believe in all of this, just to keep yourself safe. And
did they mess up your credit, or they just got your personal information, or you don't know how
they got my personal, sorry guys, I apologize. they got my personal information. They was able to hack into my Netflix account,
Oh wow.
which was then in turn they were able to get into my other stuff. And I was using my debit. I use my debit card for a lot of stuff, even though I have credit cards, because I'm like, I'm very cautious about credit cards. So I'm like, well, I'll just do the debit card. But now I think I'll be moving more to the credit card. So
Yeah, if you find one that gives you points, then there's definite benefits. I use the one for Deltas, so I get points for everything, and I just got in the habit of using that to purchase everything, and then I pay it off just like I would, at the end of the month. And then I have points to fly. We'll be heading to Aruba in a few months, and that's all based on points. So, yeah.
Okay. Yes. I like that incentive a lot. Yes.
I've been in a situation with a family member whose personal identity was stolen, and it was crazy how easy it was because it was through the legal system. So they had all types of like fines and warrants out for their arrest because somebody got caught up in a drug situation and used his ID.
Oh wow.
Failed to pop. Now, granted, these two people look nothing alike. Like you can easily look at the ID and be like, you don't weigh 200 pounds, 250. Like I don't even know how it happened, but the fact that it happened was just like, how easy was that? They had to hire a lawyer, pay thousands of dollars to get out of that situation. I mean, it was crazy. But I was like, how does something like this even happen? Because he lost his ID.
Oh wow! And
yeah, it was that simple. He lost his ID, and then it just went to a whole downward spiral. And like I said, I don't even know how something like that could happen in a legal system, but they don't care. They just want to charge somebody.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, I did want to ask, what are some? So now that I'm thinking about it, I need to do a lot of things to fix my life. But what are some softwares that are available? And what do you recommend that we use in order to protect ourselves? Because I'm like, oh, I got Apple, I'm fine. No, I need to figure it out. So is there something that we can use? I know you said Adobe has an encryption service on it, but what else would you recommend?
So if you're looking for something just for your PC or your computer, we use as an organization, as a first line of defense, it's called AVG, and they have a free version. So you can start out with the free version, and then if you find the need, go to the next version. And we started using that even before I started the company as a family in order to put on all of our PCs. I'm also an Apple user, so I'm kind of like you, like I'm protected, right? Not quite so much. You can also download AVG on your Mac, so it'll help protect you. And then they also, I've heard from one of my employees, have a VPN where you can turn that on and it will make your laptop extra secure. We're always trying to find different ways to make it more secure, and they'll tell you about any intrusions, and they update it. The most important thing about having antivirus type of software is that they update it to change to all of the new threats that come out on a monthly basis, and AVG does that. So I would definitely recommend using their free version, and then if you have an organization, you might want to do a paid version. You only have to pay one license, and then everyone can use the AVG software license legally. So that's very helpful. Then for passwords, we actually use something called LastPass, LASTPASS. And it's a password vault that you can have, and I'm on Apple, so everything is kind of connected. So regardless of whether I'm on my laptop or I'm on my cell phone, I have the LastPass software. You have one master passcode, but then all of your other passwords get saved there. You can actually share a password. So say if you needed to email a password to your husband or something, you can send them the password that's encrypted so that they can get into the account or get access to the password. So I found LastPass to be very successful. I actually got that tip from the person in charge of security for Verizon Wireless. So I was like, okay, that one should be pretty good. So I would say those two, ABG for your computer system, and then LastPass if you're looking for electronic password vault, have been effective for us.
Just focus on what's important.
Thank
Develop
you.
some of the negatives,
Yeah,
and if things don't work out,
sorry,
just take another
No,
shot.
no, you're fine. Go. What are we gonna? I can go after you, Siobhan. It's okay.
No, I was just curious if you had any tips on how to keep your children protected at home with everything that's going on. I know I do, child. I only let them go to certain sites, and I need to make sure I know what they're on and who they're talking to. We do a lot of kid messenger where if they send a message, I can see every single message or text. But I've had my kids playing Roblox, and they'll get some ads that'll pop up that are
You can turn it off.
turn the ads off.
Right.
Turn off the pop-up blocker. I had to turn mine off.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
So
just
I would agree with what Tanisha just said as far as the settings, making sure the settings are set up so you're in a protective way. And maybe my way of security as far as computers is a little bit outdated. So I still use Norton, McAfee, and pay for those. I'm not doing, there's probably something better or newer that protects your computer at this point. But I still pay for those for my HPs and things like that. And I am another to go off of what you guys were saying. My Mac computers, I just assume that they're going to be okay. So I gotta get better with that as well. But I still use traditional
Did you know that life is a
platforms that I have to pay for to protect from virus and stuff like that.
And I've always heard if you got a Mac, people can't hack a Mac. I've heard that for so long. They can't hack it. There's no viruses that can get on a Mac.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how true that is, but it is in the back of my brain.
I think at one point in time it was like they didn't focus on Mac because the number of Mac users as compared to Microsoft users was like there was like a huge difference.
True.
But I don't know as it now. I mean that was years ago. I don't know. Now it's probably same if not
Comparable, right?
Yeah. So now they're probably trying to figure it out just like any other thing.
Oh my goodness, there's so much.
But I am curious because like I said, I know a lot of. One second, I have to shut my kids up.
We're working in real life, people. We're working in real life. Okay. Every Wednesday, I have 5 kids doing virtual learning. And yes, and 3 of them have like a half day on Wednesdays, which is like their kind of recoup day, kind of.
Asynchronous day in my house, which is like a free for all almost. It seems like they wake up early, get the work done, and then they're just like, but I did want to say, with everything switching to, I know, like I said, a lot of people are doing like virtual businesses. A lot of people are looking more into entrepreneurship. We got kids at home, even they're looking into entrepreneurship. Is there like tips that we should install in them? I know there's software, I know there's things like that, but it's kind of hard to get your kids to shut up about what you post online. And I try to make them very aware of like not posting in real time on social media, because like my daughter, she loves TikTok and stuff like that. So I was with Max on that, like, do not post in real time. Nobody needs to know where you're at when you're at, nobody needs to know nothing. So is there any practices we should be installing in ourselves as well as our kids on a daily basis as we do things online, move forward in our businesses? We're working from home. I mean, everything is just literally everything is on a computer and online at this point. So even if you're protecting your computer, a lot of your information is still online, because everybody wants you to have an account with them, a password or whatever.
So for me, my youngest is 24 in college. So I'm thankful that my kids were not in the digital age as you guys are going through. And I can't even imagine the cell phone issue. When my son was in middle school and high school, it was just really starting to bloom, right? And so the things that we did back then are probably nothing compared to what you have to do now. But we used a lot of the security features. Like he had a Verizon phone in high school, So what we did is we went online and limited the amount of time he was able to make calls and who could actually call into him. So I think you'd be surprised at the controls that you can access on Apple as well as Verizon. I'm not sure about the other providers, but you can really limit without having to say, you're not allowed on the phone, give me your phone, all of that. You just say, okay, your phone can only have incoming and outgoing calls between the hours of 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. Then you're shut off. So then you don't have to be the bad cop and say, because it's understood and his phone or her phone stops working during the midnight hours where they may be under the covers trying to talk to somebody on the phone. So I would recommend most IT firms who have devices that they know kids will access have limiting capabilities now that you can set those parameters. So at that point, it's just reinforcing it with your child regarding what those rules are and why, and then move forward with it. They won't be happy, but they get used to it. So then I don't have a lot of other apps that I'm familiar with that work with children. I do know the pop-up blockers do help, but it's just crazy the amount of stimulation that kids get today, and the ability to, and then even the fact that they're online doing work, it's just constant. So I definitely feel for you guys with the younger children, and pray for you. Yes.
We need it, please.
We need it. I agree.
The prayers.
I agree. But that's a great tip about both of you, Max and Tracy, about the controls, because I didn't think that I could go on and their bedtime is normally between 8:30 and 9. Let me shut off their device at like 8 o'clock. Let's get our mind ready for bed, and then you can get back on your device about 3 o'clock after school is done or whatever. But just thinking those things through, because, and like you said, they may be upset, but they'll get used to it because it's for their own good. We're only trying to make sure that they're okay, and they don't need all that screen time anyway. They really don't. I know my kids don't. But right now, as I'm working, they are on their screens. So
Max, you work
great tip. What you say?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I know you specialize in working with kids in tech. So is there anything that you teach them to do or not do?
No, we usually just program the computers to just block everything. So there's just we put the blockers on that way. We don't even have to worry about it or concern, because you just gotta, especially when you're teaching students, you gotta always just assume the worst case will happen. Whatever is horrible, whatever is something that you don't want them to see, they're gonna go find it. So we just make it. We literally almost make it to the point where the students can't even access anything but the text editors. So it's like you could go into another coding platform, but that's pretty much it. Everything else, YouTube, because kids are creative, kids are innovative. They'll figure out a way. They can be hackers in their own little ways sometimes. So we just to protect everybody and protect anything around them, we just make sure that we create the settings that they can't go to many websites at all. And sometimes, and in some cases, they can't even go to Google, because even you can do a Google search and find certain things. So depending on the age group, how mature they are, we don't even allow the opportunity for them to go searching for bad stuff.
You gotta do it.
It's like phones. Oh, God, I just want to throw them all away.
And the tablets and the iPad.
I mean, I like it because, like, when they're not here, like, my kids, they were on the school bus, so I could call and be like, hey, from Wonder Lake, like, where are you at? Are you close to the bus stop or something like that? Or if they're if they're not with me, I could call them and check up on them without having to go through anybody else I can get. But other than that, I kind of wish it was just like, back in the day when it was like we had minutes and it was free after 9, because after 9 I'm taking it anyway. So I missed it. It's too advanced now, and I swear, like, now I'm like, how do I change my background on this? When do y'all come do this for me? It's embarrassing.
Kids are so smart. They really are. Oh my gosh. My kids was trying to teach, well, not, they do an editing program that they are really good at, and it's amazing, like some of the stuff that they can do. But Tracy and Max, I'm just really loving this information. I really am. I'm really loving it. And you said AVG, V is in Victor?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'll put that down. I remember doing the VPN for work. So, I mean, different companies do different things, but you want to be as secure as possible. You really do. You really do. And if you're a business and, you know, you're just starting out or you're a small business, you know, maybe look into some of these, the VPN, the AVG, the LastPass, just so you can protect yourself as much as possible. And your customers, you know, your company and your customers.
Yeah, and look into that encryption, because that's a big deal, especially if you're, like you said, you're getting credit card numbers, you're doing online orders, you're getting people's addresses, birthdays, whatever. You should have some sort of encryption on your side, and buy insurance to protect your company just in case, because although it's morally wrong, hacking is a very lucrative career, so they try and get their money too.
Yeah, that's a great point, because now you almost can't buy business insurance without also buying the computer, I forget what they call it, but there's a rider that's attached to your insurance to protect you from that. So if for some reason people get your information and you're doing online sales, you're liable for that. So your insurance will help to protect you from a lawsuit regarding stolen information. So the industry has changed. When I started the company in 2012, they were just now starting to include that. And you don't have a choice. You have to pay for that additional insurance to protect yourself.
You should get it. You should definitely get it. And then also, when you're looking for a third party to do your financial exchanges with, like PayPal, they do have that. They do offer that insurance. But you should still always have your own, just for whatever they don't cover. If they don't cover, you know, it's just like, you know, like you driving down the street and somebody do something dumb, you got insurance, so you like, look, do what you do.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Rely on them to have
like, you the one that ain't gonna have no legs at the end of the day. You ain't suing me, you suing Allstate. I don't care.
So true.
I do want to thank y'all, and I want to give y'all a moment. I know we gotta wrap up. I'm not gonna put nobody on the spot. I'm just kidding. No. I do want to wrap up just a little bit early, but can you let everybody know exactly how to get in touch with you if they have any questions?
Yes.
So,
you want to go first, Tracy?
Sure, thanks, Max. So you can email me at tgrace@ibexexperts.com. And our website is ibexexperts.com. So if you're interested in training, whether it be security training, certifications for IT. So we talked a little bit about the security field, but then there's also a lot of different types of IT certifications you can get in order to go down the IT field. And I'm a huge believer in what Max said. Not everyone is going to get a 4-year degree, but IT is a huge industry, and I truly believe it's the industry that we as African Americans can take over and own, because of the way that it's all about experience and how good you are, whether it's coding, whether it's IT security, regardless. Someone will hire you if they know that you're good in IT, and you do not have to have a 4-year degree. It's a huge way up and out. So definitely check it out. If you have questions about training and certifications, we can definitely assist you with that. So go online, ibexexperts.com, and check us out.
Yeah, Tracy, I'm gonna email you too, because maybe you can offer some resources and we can send those out to people for them to get some sort of education on that. And Max, I know you have some resources too, but you can go ahead and grab them yourself.
Yes.
No. Just similarly, Tracy just really said it. And, you know, like a goal for us is to be able to provide those resources for the kids that may come through our program who are high school students and not necessarily sure what they want to do, but they want to make some money, they want to have a career, and they may not, it's kind of a trend. I hear kids a lot more saying, I don't think I'm really a college person. And I'm like, okay, cool. If you're not going to go get a trade and become an electrician or a plumber, look into these IT certificates, look into these other pathways where you can make really good money, take care of yourself, and there's just so much growth in the IT area. Like Tracy was saying earlier, there's so many jobs unfilled. She really struck me just now when she said we can take over, we can dominate these fields, and that would be great. So, to the original question, how can you reach me? Again, I split my life into 2 emails basically. City of Pittsburgh, Maximilian.Dennison@pittsburghpa.gov. Please check out our website. Go to the City of Pittsburgh webpage. Look up Rectitech. We have Clubhouse. We have coding cohorts. We're partnering with other organizations right now to provide just more and more tech for any students. And then if your kids can't attend anything during the week or can't get to one of our recreation centers, and you want to join Beta Builders, email us at mhbetabuilder@gmail.com. If your kid needs to come code on the weekend. So my goal is to provide a resource for your kid to be in tech Monday through Saturday, actually. I take off on Sundays. So yes, please reach out. And again, I'm going to take Tracy's information, because I just like to make sure the kids have all of the resources needed to make a decision about how they can get involved in tech. So thanks for having me, ladies. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you. I know you had to jump off. I did want to say one thing is that my kids have been coding, and the reason I actually know Max is because I reached out to him, begging him to do something because my son wanted to code so bad. He just was interested in it, and now he wants to become an engineer. But the way I bribed them into staying focused on this is because this is the era of the side hustle, and even kids are, they want a side hustle. So I'm like, hey, learn this coding, charge people to build their website, charge people to maintain their social media. So simultaneously, while you earning a diploma, because he's only in elementary school, but while you earning a diploma, you can be building your account. You can be, your future could be paid for. Your college or whatever you want to do with your future, you can have stacks of money on the side to be paid for, because people pay a lot of money for things like that.
They really do.
That's just, an incentive of what I teach my kids. And now my daughter is starting to code a little bit because she's really into social media, like I said, and TikTok and stuff like that. So I'm trying to teach them the back end of it. But, it's hard for us to have these opportunities. So sometimes you got to build these opportunities for yourself, and teaching them different ways of doing that, and teaching your kids multiple streams of income. All that is real. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So while you focusing on your hustle, get them to hustle too.
Yes.
That's
And
right.
Max, I'm curious too, with the Rectitech, do y'all have any summer camps coming up or anything like that? Can we find that?
Yes, all of that will be on the website. We're partnering with a lot of organizations. If the audience isn't familiar, City of Pittsburgh, we do a lot, particularly in the department I'm in, Parks and Recreation. We do everything from passing out meals to there's all type of cool things they got for the summer program. Usually, a lot of kids go to the summer program, to get breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They got we have summer camps at each center, so they'll be there. We're just going to kind of infuse the tech, to give them another option, into joining tech. So yes, go to the city web page, see what we got coming up. We're partnering with a lot of cool organizations. It's going to look a little different at different centers depending on age groups, but it's all there.
Thank you. That's excellent. Thank you. Well, I do want to thank you both so much for joining us today. Y'all gave some great information. It was a great conversation, which we love to have, just even though we threw some questions out there, but a great conversation. And I want to thank you both so much. Thank you.
Yes.
And hopefully we can have y'all back again in the future. That would be amazing.
And like I said, I will be reaching out to y'all by email to get those resources, and then I will be sending those resources out in our newsletter, and we may be posting them on our social media some kind of way. So just look out for those. But thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Tracy. Thanks,
All
Matt.
right.
It was a pleasure.
Thanks,
It really was.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I would stop the recording, but I don't think I'm